but my name is Tayla Lambright, and I have another NEA with me, Chelsea Norman, and we were asked by the state office to do a short presentation about an example of what you can use for your classes from the CREATE curriculum. So we based our lesson from the CREATE curriculum, and we combined the Create a Salad with the physical activity curriculum to kind of see and show you guys how easy it can be to put together information for a class. So I'm just going to go through this PowerPoint and then give you guys some tips and just show you what we do at Cache County. And then Chelsea is going to give you some more information as well as do a short food demonstration for you. So I called this class Create a Healthy Lifestyle. So instead of just focusing on the recipe or focusing just on physical activity, we combine them both to say creating a healthy lifestyle. At our classes, instead of giving everybody just lots of loose leaf paper and lots of recipe cards, we like to condense them into our folders that we got from annual conference. And even if you don't have the Creates folders, you're welcome to just use regular colored folders. They work fine as well. And we like to put all of our handouts and other information in the folder, and it kind of keeps it a little bit more organized, and they don't feel so overwhelmed with getting handed a bunch of papers. So we include things like our recipe cards, and as you can see on the presentation, it's from the format that the state office has on the staff menu, and we just combined it to make it a 2x2 template in Publisher. And this way we all have access to it, all of the NEAs do, and we can go and edit different recipes. And then once we copy and print them, we cut them into small recipe cards so that all of our participants have the same size of recipe card. So as you can see, the one on the screen is our radish dip, and I hope everybody can see. Oh, they can't see? Mm-mm. So you can't see them.
There we go. Yeah, do that.
You want to share desktop, right? Or Microsoft?
It was the PowerPoint right there, or there, yeah.
They couldn't see your slides, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
It's there in the next.
Yeah, I was just looking at it.
Confusing. Look at this.
Okay. All right.
So can everybody see it now?
Can you see the recipe cards now?
Yes.
Yes, they're showing.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So just,
Who's that?
so can I continue then? Okay. So now you can see the recipe cards. I apologize that you guys could not see that, but as you can see, they're the 2x2 on just a regular Word document, but we put ours into Publisher, and they're just a little bit easier to keep organized. And we use just the template from the state office.
Tayla's on TV if anybody wants to see her.
And then this one is our Amazing Veggies template because the dip features vegetables. So we give them a recipe card. We also give our participants information about our online presence. And this is just an example of one that we came up with for the social media in Cache County. And we have a blog and a Facebook and a Pinterest board. So we give them all of our information on just one little card regarding the online presence that we have. We also have class flyers, and at Cache County, we're really lucky because we get to teach classes at our extension. And we have two different series going on. We have a Mommy and Me series where moms and dads are able to bring young kids to the class, and we have a English and a Spanish series. Then we also have a nighttime and daytime series where one is taught in the day and one is taught at nighttime. So we give them those flyers and encourage them to sign up for those classes while they are attending that class. We also have a recruiting flyer, and this was made for the purpose of showing that we can teach classes anywhere in the community, and it invites them to look through various topics that we teach, as well as information of how they can contact us to learn more about what our program offers. We also include things like the class participant form and any handouts that we use for the class, as well as miscellaneous things like the physical activity waiver if you're doing physical activity class. So you can put anything you want in the folder, and that just helps to keep it a little bit organized. So today, our outline for our Create a Healthy Lifestyle class, we're going to talk about the importance of family mealtime, and then give you guys some great tips on how to make your menu planning a little bit more successful. And then I'm going to go over some MyPlate guidelines, and then Chelsea's going to do a recipe demonstration. And so I took a lot of what I'm going to talk about from the Create curriculum, like I mentioned before, but you're welcome to add in other things that are mentioned in the curriculum. I didn't add them all, or take them out and focus on just one thing, such as menu planning. That could be a whole class in and of itself. So mine's a little bit more broad, but it doesn't have to be if your class is shorter or you just want to focus on it. So the first thing I want to talk about is why we like to talk about family mealtime and why it's important. And the first thing is that it's a great time for parents to set the example. So if I were teaching this to a class of adults, I would obviously gear it towards adults instead of the kids. So I like to tell parents that it's an awesome time for it's a good time for their chance to set a good example of eating healthy and to show their kids and not just tell them. They also are less likely to develop an eating disorder. So if kids see and associate food with good, positive emotions, they're less likely to develop those eating disorders that come a little bit later. And kids are also more likely to have better grades and behavior. So those are just a few of the benefits of family mealtime, but we really like to focus on all of the benefits that come because they're so great for families. So in order to make our family mealtime a success, the first step is to making sure that we have our menu plans. So menu planning is just when you create your own menus beforehand so that every day you can sit down and decide what your family is going to eat. So if you take just 30 minutes one day a week to plan the meals for the week, then you don't have to spend 30 minutes to an hour deciding every day. So it saves you lots of time. So the first step to our menu planning is to budget, and we want to make sure that we include all of our SNAP benefits or things like WIC when you're deciding how much money you would like to spend on groceries for the month. And one method that we like to do is the envelope method, where you get cash for all the money that you will be spending on groceries for the month and put it in an envelope, and then it's something tangible so that when you go to the grocery store, you can spend the money, and once it's gone, you can see that it's gone. So I like this because I have a hard time with credit cards, and so if I don't see that the money is being gone out of my account at that moment, then sometimes it's easier for me to overspend. And there's also apps on your phone that you can use to track your expenses, and there's lots of other ways. So I would encourage you to ask your class about which budgeting method works for them, and usually that is a great time for them to express what successes they've had with ways that they like to budget. So the second step is to plan the menu. After you've got your budget in place, it's a good time to plan the recipes that you're going to make for the month. And this is my handout that I would be using, and it's just from the state office, their menu planning handouts. And this is a menu planner for an entire month. And so you can write the month at the top and then fill in the numbers. And it can seem a little bit overwhelming when you first look at it because it has breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 5 weeks. So a good idea that our supervisor gave us is instead of picking 31 different recipes to make for the whole month, just to choose 10. And if you choose 10 recipes, then you can repeat them 3 times, and you've got your whole month planned for meals. So if you have 5 recipes per week, then that leaves 2 days for leftovers, and you only had to come up with 10 recipes instead of 30 or 31. So at this time, I would usually ask participants to write down their favorite recipes or a few favorite recipes that they have, and then I can tell them, look how fast that was, and you've made your whole menu plan for the month now. So another thing when planning menus is if you're lost and you don't even know where to start, you can look at the store ads, and see what's on sale, and whatever is on sale, you can sort of build your menu around. So the third step to menu planning is to make a list. So we like to make lists when we go to the grocery store because we want to spend less time at the store, because if we spend more time shopping at the grocery store, then we're more likely to spend more money and go over budget. So on our handout here, we have the grocery list outlined to different sections of the store. So we have vegetables, fruit, protein, dairy, grains, and then miscellaneous food items or cleaning supplies. So this is a great way to, after you made your menu, to make your grocery list and divide up into these categories, so that as you make your way through the store, you don't get all the way over to the milk and then come back and have to get bananas, and that makes you go all the way to the other side of the store, and then you have to go all the way back, and you're spending more time and then probably more money if you do that as well. And you don't want to have to spend more time at the grocery store than you have to. So another good thing when you're going to the grocery store is try to only go once a week. So I think that's on my next tip with going shopping. So try to go once a week so that you don't have to go every single day, because that's a lot of travel time and it takes a lot of energy to just go to the store, where you can just do it once a week. And we also encourage you to use your coupons wisely. After you make your grocery list, you can look at the coupons, and if the coupons match up with your grocery list, great. If not, it's probably not a better deal to spend more money on something. So I like to tell a story about my aunt who really likes getting a good deal and loves coupons. And I went to her house the other day, and she had like 100 boxes of cereal. Just, I think it was Golden Graham cereal. And she lives alone, so I was asking her, who's going to eat all these Golden Grams? But she was so excited because she got them for like 50 cents. So I don't think that's a great deal, because they're probably going to go bad soon. But she likes just getting a coupon and getting the good deal. So try to use them a little bit more wisely so you don't just spend more money. Another tip when you're going shopping is try not to go at a busy time. Usually after about 5 p.m., and on Saturday mornings is when the grocery store is busy. So if you go when it's not as busy, you don't feel as flustered or rushed, or you don't get annoyed by other shoppers. And the last one we have when you're going shopping is try to eat something before going shopping. And I think we can all relate to this one. If you've ever gone to the grocery store and been hungry and you just end up buying lots and lots of ingredients and lots of food that just looks good, then you get home and you just have random food, random ingredients that you probably won't eat or don't want anymore because you ate. So it's a good idea to try to eat something so you don't go super hungry. Then the last tip to our menu planning is to stick to the plan. It's really easy to make your budget and try really hard to plan your menu, make a list, and then go grocery shopping, and then come home and do nothing. So unless you stick to the plan, it's not really a great success. So try to really stick to it in the end and make those meals, because studies really have shown that if kids eat at least 3 meals at home a week, then that's when they see the best benefits. And that's just 3 meals out of 21 throughout the week. So after we have our menu planning, if you ever get stuck or want to know maybe what you should be eating, a good reference to use is MyPlate. Oh, I'm just won't transition. I know this looks like a lot. In my other program, this was going to come up separately, so I apologize if it's a lot of words at the same time. But we're going to talk through MyPlate. So it replaced our pyramid and our My Pyramid. So instead of the pyramid, it's a plate. So it's a representation of what we should be eating at every meal and what our plate should look like for the most part. And obviously we're not perfect and they're not going to look like this all the time, but it's just a good rule of thumb to keep in your mind when you're planning your meals. So we'll just start on the fruit. We'll go from left and then down. So we're going to start with fruit, and they recommend that adults get about 2 cups per day, and 1 cup of fruit is equal to about a small apple or a large orange, and 1 cup of fruit is also equal to a cup of 100% fruit juice and half cup of dry fruit. And they recommend that we limit our fruit juice because it's not very high in fiber, so it won't fill us up very fast, and mostly likely it will just increase our blood sugar and make us want to crave more sweet things afterwards. So going right down to vegetables, adults are recommended to get about 2.5 to 3 cups per day, and you can buy them fresh or frozen or canned, and they're all pretty good quality. But with the canned, you want to try to get low sodium options, and then if you get beans, for example, you can rinse a lot of the sodium off under running water. But the best thing with fruits and vegetables is just to get a wide variety, because different fruits and vegetables supply us with different vitamins and minerals. So if you just get a nice variety, a nice color of the rainbow each week, then you're likely to get all of the nutrients that you need. So now going to the upper right-hand side is our grains, and adults are recommended to get about 6 to 7 ounces per day, and they recommend that we get at least 50% whole grain. So refined grains are where they take out the germ and the endosperm, and that is what supplies us with a lot of fiber and vitamins. So unfortunately, when they take that out, the product has less fiber and doesn't fill us up as fast. And I put there that fiber is your friend, because it helps to regulate our GI tract, our intestinal tract, and help to keep us full and regulated. And oftentimes we don't get enough fiber. So if we put more whole grains into our diet, we'll get the allotted amount for the day. Then to the middle section is dairy, and they have dairy as a cup for milk, but you can have it in other things. And they recommend that we get 3 cups per day, and they recommend that we choose fat-free or low-fat milk products. And they recommend dairy because it has calcium, but also vitamin D, and together those play a big part in our bone health. So we want to make sure that we don't have a high risk for osteoporosis, and one way we can do that is by including dairy in our diet. Then the last one is our protein group, and that's a little bit less than 1/4 of the plate, and they encourage us to get about 5 to 6 ounces per day, and recommend that we choose low-fat or lean meat and poultry. So luckily with protein, we don't have to get it all from meat, because meat is a little bit expensive. You can go with lentils or beans or nuts, and you can still get adequate protein from that. So that is my plate. And if you ever want to know what you should be feeding your family, or want ideas for maybe what you should be including in your diet if you have forgotten one of the food groups, this is a good place and a good reference to start your menu planning, so that you can make your family mealtime a success, not only making sure it happens, but making sure that you feed your family the most nutritious meals as possible. So now we're going to transition over to Chelsea, and then we might be moving the camera a little bit, so I apologize if anybody gets dizzy or you can't see.
Stop share screen. Okay. And put.
So we can see.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah.
So to the camera now.
Yeah, go for it.
You're wanting. You need
So it's going to be like.
You want it right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Can everyone see Chelsea? Is she on the big screen for you all?
And can you see my props? Okay.
Okay, they can see you.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll just get back to my PowerPoint. So how do I go to the PowerPoint? Do I just click on it?
Yes.
Okay.
But can they still see you?
Can everyone still see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so now that we've learned about MyPlate, I'm going to transition a little bit and talk about some physical activity. And as you can see, I brought lots of props. This has nothing to do with physical activity. We will get to this in a second. Okay, so if you remember the old My Pyramid, there were some steps that went alongside the pyramid. And this was to kind of inform us that along with a healthy diet, exercise still played an important role in our life. And so now we have our MyPlate, which you can see on the screen. And obviously there's no physical activity component on MyPlate anymore. It doesn't mean that physical activity is not still important. In fact, it's becoming more important because we are living a more sedentary life. And so we want to remember that living a healthy lifestyle includes both following MyPlate and being physically active. And so they recommend that adults engage in at least 30 minutes of physical activity about 5 times per week, so almost every day. They're also now recommending that we include strength training in our physical activity. So they want us to get strength training in about 2 days a week. And this just helps keep our bones strong and just provides us with a lot of different benefits. Okay, so I have some tips on how we can incorporate physical activity into our healthy lifestyle. So we'll just go through those. So the first tip is to choose activities that you enjoy. When we enjoy our physical activity or our exercise, we're more likely to engage in it and make it a regular part of our life. So if you don't like running, don't do it. There's so many ways that we can be active today, and so experiment and find different things that you enjoy and then make them a part of your lifestyle. The second tip is to break it up. So if you remember me saying we need about 30 minutes of physical activity per day, we don't need to get it all in one time. And so we could break this up into 10-minute increments throughout the day. So for example, we could start our day with 10 minutes of stretching. And then after lunch, we could go for a 10-minute walk. And then at night, we could have a 10-minute dance party with our kids. And there we've gotten our 30 minutes of exercise in throughout the day, but it's been broken up into more manageable chunks. So it doesn't seem as overwhelming if we remember that it all adds up and that we can break it up. The third tip is to make it a habit. And so the more we exercise and incorporate it into our daily lives, the easier it becomes. And so when you first start exercising, it might be really difficult to make yourself get to the gym every day. But the more often that...
They're not seeing your PowerPoint.
Oh, sorry guys. We want you to see the PowerPoint. So
It's...
Oh, we didn't share the screen, did we?
I thought we did.
Again.
Okay, let me see.
We're going to try to reshare the screen with you.
Okay. Okay. So share screen. Oh, here we go. Okay. This is the... They need to see you too.
So are you seeing me on the screen? Nope. Okay.
Let's see. Why will it not? Why is it not? Let's share. So I don't understand why it won't let us do both.
Can you do like command and then click on the IBC as well?
Sorry, this one? Okay, press command.
Mm-hmm.
Do not know. It's one of the features it's definitely supposed to do. Maybe if we do this one, should show my laptop.
Nancy, what's your plans for the next newsletter, date-wise?
Can we possibly do other than share the screen? Okay. So I have you.
Jocelyn,
Yeah.
when you're screen sharing, we can still see your
Early April?
screen to the right.
Oh, can you see, if we share the screen, can you see,
I'll send you the flyer. Okay.
can you see Chelsea still?
Yeah, we could see her on the small screen to the right, or at least I can.
Okay.
Oh, so you're seeing both right now?
Okay.
Yes, we're seeing
Okay.
both.
Okay. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
good.
I was thinking on our screen here, it didn't look like we could see both, but you can. So that's you, and this is what they see. And you
Okay.
can go back.
Oh, I'm forward.
Okay.
Okay. No, that's okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so making it a habit. So I kind of explained how it gets a little bit easier the more we engage in physical activity. And so instead of asking ourselves, am I going to exercise today? It more becomes a question of, when am I going to exercise today? Because it's a habit and it's just something that we've integrated into our lives. The fourth tip for engaging in regular physical activity is to find your motivation. So there are two types of motivation that we talk about. We have intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So when we talk about extrinsic motivation, those are the motivating factors that we engage in to either avoid a punishment or to earn a reward. And so something like this would be, if we go to the doctor and he tells us, you need to lose weight, but you don't really want to, but the doctor told you that you had to. Are you going to be as motivated as if you actually wanted to do it for yourself, or if you're just doing it because the doctor told you? And so that's where we talk about intrinsic motivation. Those are the motivating factors that come from within us. So when we engage in physical activity, because it's something we enjoy, we found our intrinsic motivation. And so if you can think about the things that actually motivate you to engage in regular physical activity and make it enjoyable, it's much easier to become a part of your lifestyle. And then the last tip I have for you is set SMART goals. And so when we're setting goals for ourselves, it's really good for us because we have something that we're working towards. And so setting goals is one way that we can really help reach whatever we're trying to achieve. And so I'm going to go through, this is our SMART goals. So SMART is an acronym and it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So when we're setting goals, we want them to be specific. So we want to state exactly what we're trying to accomplish, whether it's what, where, or why. Measurable, how are we going to measure if we've achieved that goal? Is it achievable? So if I haven't been running and I say I'm going to run a marathon in 1 month, is that achievable? Not really. So we want to do something that's going to stretch us and make us work for it, but something that's still within our limits. And then relevant. Is the goal aligned with our objectives? So is it aligned with our physical activity, or is it just some random goal that we want to accomplish? And then time bound. So setting a date within how long it's going to take you to achieve your goal. And so one SMART goal that I found, an example would be, I will run a 10K at the end of 6 months to increase my confidence and strengthen my cardiovascular system. So at this point, I'd like you just to think about some goals that you have in your own life. Are they specific? Are they measurable? Are they achievable? Are they relevant? And are they time bound? If they're not any of those things, then maybe you can work to adjust them so that they are SMART goals. This side one, yes. Does better? Okay. Okay, and then just briefly, if you need more resources about physical activity or want handouts for your participants, a really good website is to go to www.choosemyplate.com. They have a physical activity component on their website, and it goes through some topics like, what is physical activity? Why is it important? How much do we need? burning calories, and then tips for increasing our physical activity. So this website is a really good resource for when you get home and you want to learn more about it. Okay, so now that we've learned a little bit about MyPlate and how MyPlate and physical activity play a role in a healthy lifestyle, we're going to talk about creating a healthy recipe. And so our Creates curriculum is all about creating recipes with what you have in your well-stocked kitchen. And so today we wanted to go through a create a salad formula and recipe with you. So if we were actually having a hands-on class, I would have you bring out your handout, this create a salad handout that would be in your folder, and we would go through each of the steps together. And so you would be able to reference the handout. And so you can see on the screen, this is what our create a salad handout looks like. We all have access to them. You can either print them off the website or we get them hand delivered, and they look really nice. So today we're going to be making a barbecue chicken salad using our create a salad handout. And so this is a really fun one and something that we've tried, and we really like this salad a lot. So the first step to creating your own salad at home is to choose your base. So you can choose anything from leafy greens to spinach to kale, or you can choose something a little bit more different like whole grain pasta or noodles, brown rice, potatoes, or a different type of whole grain like quinoa, bulgur, or barley. So we chose green leaf lettuce as our base. You can see it right here. We have a big bowl of it. And so you just start with your base, a big bowl of lettuce. The second step is to choose one protein. And so you can choose dried beans or canned beans, ground beef, cooked or diced fish or meat, hard-boiled eggs, canned meat or fish, or even tofu that's been marinated in fruit juice and soy sauce. So I would encourage you to vary your protein. So if you're going to have salad every single week, maybe one week do a meat source of protein, and then the next week do a vegetarian source like tofu or canned or dried beans. This is a good way just to get some variety. So today what we've done is we are using 1.5 cups of cooked and diced chicken, and all I did was brown the chicken, and then I mixed it with 3 tablespoons of barbecue sauce. And so I'm just going to put this right on top of my greens. So it's a good amount of chicken. Perfect. And if you wanted to do half chicken and half black beans, that would be really yummy as well. The third step is to choose your veggies. So this is where you can get really creative and use whatever's in your fridge. It's a really great way to get rid of those leftover ends and pieces where you have like 3 large carrots left over from soup that you made a couple of nights ago, and you have some celery and some tomatoes that you need to use. So use up whatever you have in your fridge. You can use fresh, frozen, or canned vegetables. Some ideas include tomatoes, cucumbers, broccoli, carrots, corn, or even green beans. So you want about 2 cups of vegetables for your salad. And so we chose 1 medium diced bell pepper. So I have it just chopped up, and I'm going to add that to our salad. So it comes up to be about 1 cup of bell pepper. And then I have 1 medium diced tomato, which I'll also add. And this turns out to be about 1/2 cup. And then 1/2 cup of frozen corn, which I have thawed. And I just thaw under running warm water. And I'll just add all of those to my salad. And so you can already tell it's really bright and colorful. I like to use, if I have green lettuce and all green vegetables, it's not going to be as bright and pretty. And so I try to get a few different colors in there. As you can see, we used green bell peppers, but you could use orange as well. And then the 4th step is to choose 1 fruit. So this is an optional step, but I really like including fruit in my salads. It kind of gives it a fun flavor. And so we're using 1/2 cup of pineapple today. And you could also use diced apple or pear, oranges, raisins, dried cranberries, or even mango chunks. So let me add this 1/2 cup of pineapple. So this is a lot more than 1/2 cup right here. So I'm just going to put about half of this on here. And we actually made a salad for one of our classes last week that used frozen mango chunks. And it was a quinoa salad with frozen mango chunks, and they had been thawed, and it was really tasty. It was kind of like a tropical salad. The fifth step is to choose one or more flavors. So this kind of takes your salad from ordinary to kind of more flavorful and more, it gives it that kick that you need. So you can choose onion, celery, black olives, salsa, herbs and spices, or even just salt and pepper. So today we're using about a 1/4 cup of diced red rice. You could also use green onion, or you could leave this out if you don't like onion. So I'm just gonna spoon this just right on top of the salad. I like the purple color, and it gives it lots of crunch and flavor. And then I also have a 1/4 cup of cilantro that I chopped this morning. So I'm just going to scoop that onto my salad as well. Okay, it's getting full. All right, we have 2 more steps in creating our own salad. So this next step is to choose our salad dressing. I would encourage you, rather than buying a store-bought dressing, to try making your own at home, because it's really easy. You can control the ingredients, and it ends up being a lot less expensive. So our formula for creating your own vinaigrette at home is really easy. It's 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of vinegar. You can choose white vinegar, red wine, apple cider, or balsamic, and then other flavors. So if you want a creamy dressing, you can add some plain yogurt. If you want it a little bit sweeter, you can add a touch of honey, and then you can add herbs and spices, or even just salt and pepper. So we're going to go ahead and make our dressing today. It's a creamy garlic vinaigrette. And so I'm just going to use the formula that I provided for you. So we are going to put 3 tablespoons of olive oil right into this measuring cup. So here's 2, and then 3. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. And as I made this salad for our coworkers yesterday, they suggested using the pineapple juice that came from the canned pineapple that we already used. And I think that would be an excellent idea. And would add a little bit of sweetness. And then we are going to add 2 tablespoons of plain yogurt. This will give it that creaminess that we talked about and make it a creamy vinaigrette. So I'm actually using Greek yogurt today. They don't sell plain, just yogurt in a little cup, or they didn't. You can use regular yogurt or Greek yogurt. It works just fine. So here's 1 tablespoon. And then another tablespoon. All right. And then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of honey. And I'm sorry that's capitalized on there. That should be lowercase. Okay. And this just kind of gives it a little bit of sweetness and kind of cuts that acidity from the vinegar. So just pour that right in there. And then we're also just going to add, whoop, I got some yogurt on me. Good thing I have an apron on. And then we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder and a little splash of salt and pepper. Okay, so we'll add that. And then you can just do the salt and pepper to taste.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sprinkle it right in there.
Thought I would try it and listen to it.
And when you're making your dressing at home, an immersion blender is really good, especially if you have honey or like yogurt. It kind of helps to just combine it really, really well. Today I'm just going to whisk it together until it's well combined. And I hope you can kind of see it. So you just want to keep whisking until the yogurt is mixed in there really well. Okay, so that's all that we needed for our creamy vinaigrette. It's much healthier than a store-bought ranch or Caesar. And it goes really well with this barbecue chicken salad. Okay, and then our final step is to choose a topping or two. So when you're choosing your toppings, I want you to remember that these toppings can be really high in calories and fat. And so you want to make sure that we're kind of thinking about our toppings and not just dumping them all on our healthy salad. And so some toppings that you can choose are nuts or seeds. These are a really good source of healthy fat. You could do a cheese like cheddar or mozzarella or Parmesan. You can make whole wheat croutons if you have some leftover bread, or you can make corn tortilla strips, which we made today. We're not making today, but it's really easy to make your own tortilla strips at home. You know, those crunchy strips that you get on those restaurant salads. I have them in this bag. All you do is you cut 3 corn tortillas into 1/4 inch strips, put them on a baking sheet that's been lined with foil and sprayed with nonstick spray, and then bake them in the oven at 400 degrees until they're crispy. You can put a little salt on top. And so I'm going to leave these on the side of the salad, and we will have these as our topping. And then we also chose to add a little bit of cheese to our salad. I like to let people add their own toppings as we go as well, because some may not want as many tortilla strips or cheese as others. So there we go. We have our barbecue chicken salad. And the one thing that I want to kind of talk about is how sometimes when we make salad, we tend to think of it as either an appetizer or a side dish. But if you've been paying careful attention, you'll notice that I made this a complete MyPlate meal. And so we have all 5 food groups. We have our vegetables, our lettuce, our bell peppers, our tomatoes, and our corn. And then for our protein, we have our diced chicken. For our grains, we have our tortilla strips, our corn tortilla strips. And for our fruit, we have our pineapple. And then our dairy, we have our cheese. And you could have a glass of milk on the side. So there you go. You have a complete meal. So when you're making your salad at home, it's really good to think about how you can incorporate all 5 components into your salad. And I think following the Create a Salad handout, this one is really a good way to make sure that you're getting all 5 food groups in.
Yeah, I might have a couple more too.
Okay, so if you remember, Tayla talked about our recipe cards. And so even though we used the Create a Salad handout, I would still send my participants home with a recipe card for this exact salad. When they eat something at our classes, they want to go home and recreate it for their families. And so if you give them the exact ingredients that you used and the directions, they're really going to go home and be able to make this at home. And so this is an example of a recipe card that I would make for this salad.
I'm kind of curious about that.
And then I just wanted to go through the cost comparison really quickly. So I'm going to go back. Okay, so we're going to talk about a few of my favorite fast food salads, and then I'll show you the cost of this recipe. So this is for one of my favorite fast food salads. I won't tell you where it's from, but it's a barbecue ranch chicken salad, and it costs $7.36 for one serving.
Yeah.
This is my second favorite fast food salad, and it's a Cobb salad, and it costs $7.91 per serving. And these were all prices here in Utah, so it could cost different in different states. And then this was from a fast casual restaurant, and this was a barbecue chicken salad, and it cost $9.34 per serving. So very kind of expensive, I think. I don't know if I'd much rather make something at home, especially if it cost $2.50 per serving. So this barbecue chicken salad costs just about $2.50 per serving. Each salad that you make serves 4, and you can make it a little bit more cost efficient by swapping out the chicken for canned black beans or buying your chicken in bulk. I bought just 2 chicken breasts, so it was more expensive than it would have been. Okay. So at this point in the lesson, I would typically have the participants try the salad, but since you're over there, I'm going to go through some tips that we have for teaching. So in Cache County, we found some ways to make teaching a little bit easier for us. And I understand that every county is different and that you probably have your own ways of teaching, but we figured we would share some of our favorite tips with you guys. So our first tip is to make it interactive. So you can do this by using a PowerPoint or by playing games. So an example of this was in one of our lessons, we were teaching all about eggs. And so we played an egg Jeopardy game with our participants, and they actually got really competitive, and it was really fun to play that with them. If you don't have access to a PowerPoint, we've used whiteboards before, and we tend to teach with a whiteboard at WIC. And when we teach our menu planning, for example, we have our 5 steps of menu planning, and as we go through the lesson, we're able to put up each step, and the participants can follow along that way. The second step, or the second tip, is to ask for questions or suggestions. And so typically throughout our lesson, we would be asking questions like, maybe what vegetables would you add to your salad? Or what are your favorite recipes for menu planning? And then we would also ask for suggestions. And so participants tend to feed off of one another. And so if you can get them talking and get them sharing their ideas, it gets really fun. The third tip is to use handouts. And so Tayla talked about this, but being able to tell a participant, okay, now we're going through your create a salad handout. It's really helpful for them to know that they're able to follow along with you and that they can jot down notes on their handouts. The fourth tip is to create recipe cards. So I always like sending our participants home with our recipe cards. And we've been told that some actually collect them and they make recipe books with them, or they hole punch the corners because they're about postcard size, and they create little recipe card books with them. So that's really fun to hear. And then just be prepared. When you're preparing for your lesson, it's your chance to become an expert on the topic. And so don't be afraid to really delve into the material and really get to know it. And then when you're teaching, you aren't scared that participants are going to ask questions that you might not have answers to. And so just really become the expert. And then just review the lesson before presenting. So go through the lesson 1 or 2 times before you present it to your class. You'll feel a lot more comfortable with the material, and you'll see what works, what doesn't work. And so you can present it to your coworkers, or you can just do it at home by yourself. And I think that's all that we have for you today. Just about out of time. So we have about 5 minutes. If you guys have any questions or suggestions, any tips that you guys have, feel free to ask them. Oh, and you can unmute it to ask me questions. Or, oh, have they been using it? Okay.
So if there's a chat, if they want to.
They've been talking. Okay. Do you have any questions over in the chat box?
No, they want a copy of it.
Okay.
They like that. Send that out. Questions coming in.
Okay. Well,
Stacy says she really enjoyed your lesson.
Oh, well, thank you, Stacy. If you guys have any questions, you can email them to Jocelyn, and she can pass them along to us, and we will be sending out our PowerPoint that we used today for you all. So thank you for joining us.